Aries, stop scrolling for a moment, because August 13th is not just another day after the eclipse. It is the first day after the energy has shifted, and what happens now may not look dramatic at first. In fact, it may look almost ordinary. A message, a strange coincidence, a sudden change in someone's behavior, an idea you cannot stop thinking about, a door that seemed completely closed, suddenly showing the smallest possible opening. And here's the part I want you to remember. The door may not open loudly. It may open quietly, almost invisibly. But once you recognize what is happening, you may realize that something you've been waiting on has already started moving behind the scenes. So Aries, stay with me until the end, because I'm going to reveal the 3 signs that this hidden door is opening specifically for you, and the final one could appear when you least expect it. Welcome back, Aries. If you are an Aries sun, moon, rising, or simply feel deeply connected to Aries energy, this message is for you. The eclipse energy may have brought endings, revelations, emotional pressure, unexpected realizations, or moments where you suddenly question the direction of your life. But the day after an eclipse is different. It's the moment when you begin to notice what the eclipse revealed. Think about it like walking through a dark room. While you're inside, you can't see the entire path. But then a small window opens. Suddenly, you realize there was another exit the entire time. And Aries, August 13th may be that window, not because everything changes overnight, but because something begins moving that you couldn't force before. 1. The eclipse didn't end the story. Aries, here's something important. Sometimes we expect cosmic events to create instant results. We think, something huge has to happen today. But transformation rarely works that way. The eclipse can act more like a spotlight. It exposes something, a relationship, a habit, a fear, a dream, a decision you've been avoiding, or even a version of yourself that you've already outgrown. And once you see it clearly, you cannot truly unsee it. That's why the first day, after an intense energetic shift, can feel strange. You may feel calmer, you may feel emotional, you may suddenly want distance from certain people. You may stop chasing something you were desperate to control. And Aries, don't automatically assume something is wrong. Sometimes peace is the evidence that you've finally released the struggle. August 13th carries a different message. Stop forcing the old door, because there may be another one opening, and you won't recognize it if you're still standing in front of the door that already closed. 2. The hidden door. Now let's talk about this hidden door. This isn't necessarily a literal opportunity appearing in front of you. It could be subtle. Maybe someone introduces you to a person. Maybe an unexpected conversation gives you an idea. Maybe you suddenly discover a job, project, location, or opportunity you had never considered. Maybe you wake up with a completely different perspective about your future. And here's what makes this interesting. The opportunity may initially look too small to matter. That's the test. Aries energy naturally wants movement. You want results. You want to know, where is this going? But August 13th may ask you to do something different. Notice the small opening. Don't judge the beginning by its size. A tiny crack in a wall can become a doorway. A single conversation can become a new connection. One decision can completely redirect your next 6 months. And sometimes the universe doesn't send you the whole staircase. It sends you the first step. Your job is simply to recognize it. 3. Sign number 1, you stop chasing. Here's the first sign. You suddenly stop chasing. Think about the thing you've been trying to make happen, the person you've been trying to understand, the answer you've been trying to receive, the situation you've been trying to control, and suddenly, you don't feel the same urgency. You don't need to check. You don't need to prove yourself. You don't need to send another message. You don't need to explain your worth. Something inside you simply says, if it's meant for me, I don't have to destroy my peace to get it. Aries, that is powerful because sometimes the hidden door doesn't open until you stop banging on the old one. And if you notice this happening around August 13th, don't panic. Don't interpret your detachment as failure. It may actually be alignment. You are no longer asking, how do I make this happen? You're beginning to ask, what is trying to happen naturally? That is a completely different energy, and it changes everything. 4. Sign number 2, a random message or connection. Now here's where things get interesting. The second sign could involve another person. You might receive a message you weren't expecting. Someone from your past could suddenly appear. A new person could enter your orbit. A conversation could happen at exactly the right moment. Or someone could mention something that seems completely random, but somehow connects directly to what you've been thinking about. Pay attention. Not every coincidence is a cosmic message. But sometimes timing reveals patterns we weren't looking for. Maybe someone says the exact words you needed to hear. Maybe an old connection brings information that helps you move forward. Maybe a stranger introduces you to an idea that becomes important later. The key is not to chase the event. Observe it. Let it unfold. Because the hidden door may not be the person themselves. The person may simply be the key that points toward the door. And Aries, you don't have to know where it leads yet. You just have to notice that something has shifted. 5. The emotional release. The third thing you may notice is emotional, and this one can surprise you. You may suddenly feel emotional about something you thought you were already over. A memory may return. You may think about someone. You may remember an old dream. You may even feel grief for a version of your life that never happened. Don't immediately label that as regression. Sometimes healing doesn't happen in a straight line. You can be moving forward and still look backward for a moment. The difference is that now you're looking without needing to return. That's growth. Maybe you finally understand why something didn't work. Maybe you realize you were asking the wrong question. Maybe you understand that losing something wasn't the end of your story. It was the redirection. And Aries, this is where the eclipse energy becomes personal. Because the hidden door isn't only about external opportunities. Sometimes the biggest door is inside you. A new belief, a new boundary, a new standard, a new version of your identity. And once that changes, your outer world eventually has to respond. 6. Love, someone's energy may shift. Now let's talk about love. Aries, if your heart has been confused recently, August 13th may bring clarity, not necessarily through a dramatic confession. Sometimes clarity arrives through someone's actions. You may suddenly realize who makes an effort, who disappears, who respects your boundaries, who only comes around when they need something, and who genuinely wants to build something with you. The eclipse may have exposed emotional patterns. Now the day after begins showing you what those revelations mean. If someone pulls away, don't automatically chase them. If someone comes closer, don't automatically give them everything. Watch consistency, watch effort, watch character. Because Aries, you're entering a phase where chemistry alone may no longer be enough. You want something real, something stable, something that doesn't require you to constantly question where you stand. And if you're single, this may also be the beginning of a new chapter, not necessarily because someone appears immediately, but because your standards are changing. And when your standards change, your choices change. And when your choices change, your future changes. 7. Money and career. The small opportunity. Now let's move into career and money. This is where I want you to pay very close attention, because your hidden door could appear as something you initially underestimate. A small project, a side opportunity, a conversation, a new responsibility, a skill you've been ignoring, a person who sees potential in you before you see it in yourself. Don't dismiss it because it doesn't look massive. Remember, big chapters often begin with tiny decisions. You may also feel an urge to change direction. Maybe your current work no longer feels aligned. Maybe you've been thinking about starting something independently. Maybe you've been considering learning something new. August 13th isn't necessarily asking you to burn everything down. It's asking you to notice the signal. Ask yourself, what keeps returning to my mind? What opportunity keeps appearing? What am I curious about even though I'm afraid to begin? That curiosity may be pointing toward the door. And Aries, you don't need to walk through it today. You simply need the courage to stop pretending you don't see it. 8. What you must not do. Aries, this is where you need to be especially careful, because after a powerful energetic shift, your first instinct may be to do something immediately. You may feel like you need an answer. You may want to confront someone. You may want to send that message you've been holding back. You may suddenly feel like quitting your job, changing everything, or making a major decision just to prove that you're moving forward. But pause. Not every feeling requires immediate action. This is one of the biggest lessons of this moment. Do not chase what is pulling away from you. If someone becomes distant, don't panic and start questioning your worth. If someone stops responding, don't send 5 messages trying to get their attention. If an opportunity disappears, don't assume you missed your only chance. Sometimes what looks like rejection is simply redirection. And Aries, there's something else you must avoid. Don't force clarity before clarity is ready. You don't need to know exactly where this new chapter is going. You don't need the entire 5-year plan. You don't need every answer today. The hidden door may only be opening a few inches. Give yourself permission to observe before you decide. And please don't make emotional financial decisions just because you're feeling restless. Don't spend money to escape discomfort. Don't make a risky move because you suddenly feel like everything has to change overnight. Real transformation doesn't require chaos. It requires intention. There's also one more trap to watch for: comparing your timing to someone else's. You may see someone getting engaged, getting promoted, buying a house, launching a business, or seemingly living the life you want. And suddenly you may think, why isn't it happening for me? Aries, stop. Their timeline is not your timeline. Your path is not behind schedule. The door opening for you may lead somewhere completely different. Yet, ask, what is this season preparing me to receive? That question changes your entire perspective, because sometimes the delay isn't punishment, sometimes it's preparation, and sometimes the thing you're asking for requires a stronger, wiser, more grounded version of you. So on August 13th, don't force, don't chase, don't beg, don't react from fear, and don't destroy something stable just because something new feels exciting. Move slowly enough to hear yourself think. Watch what repeats, watch who shows up, watch what feels peaceful instead of chaotic. Because Aries, the real sign that you're entering a new chapter isn't desperation, it's clarity without pressure. When you stop forcing the door, you may finally notice that it was already beginning to open. 9. The moment the door opens, Aries. Now we come to the moment you've been waiting for. The moment when you realize that something has actually changed. But here's what I want you to understand. The door may not open the way you imagined. You might be expecting a huge breakthrough, a life-changing phone call, a sudden financial blessing, a dramatic confession from someone you love, a completely new opportunity appearing out of nowhere. And yes, sometimes transformation can arrive that way. But more often, the first sign is much quieter. It may be a thought that suddenly feels different. You wake up one morning and realize you're no longer afraid of something that used to control you. You look at a situation that once consumed your mind and suddenly think, I don't want this anymore. That moment matters, because your attachment is changing, and when your attachment changes, your choices begin to change. You may also notice that something keeps appearing in your life, a certain person, a certain opportunity, a certain idea, a particular place. Maybe you've heard about it once, ignored it, and then suddenly it appears again, then again, and again. Don't obsess over every coincidence, but don't ignore your intuition either. Sometimes life gets your attention through repetition. The hidden door may be showing you a direction, not handing you the entire destination. And Aries, this is where you have to be brave enough to take the first step. Not the 10th step, not the 100th step, just the first. Maybe that means sending one professional email, applying for one opportunity, having one honest conversation, starting the project you've been postponing, walking away from something that keeps draining you, or simply deciding that you will no longer settle for what constantly makes you question your worth. The door opens when you respond differently. That's the real transformation. The old version of you might have chased. The new version pauses. The old version might have accepted anything out of fear. The new version chooses intentionally. The old version needed immediate answers. The new version trusts the process. And suddenly, Aries, you realize something profound. The door wasn't waiting for you to become perfect. It was waiting for you to become willing. Willing to release. Willing to receive. Willing to walk forward without knowing every detail. So if August 13th feels strangely quiet, don't underestimate it. Quiet doesn't mean empty. Stillness doesn't mean nothing is happening. Sometimes the biggest movement happens underneath the surface before you can see the evidence. And when the opportunity finally becomes visible, you'll look back and realize it started the moment you stopped forcing the old path. Aries, your next chapter may not announce itself. It may simply whisper, this way, and this time you'll be ready to listen. So Aries, if August 13th feels quiet, don't assume nothing is happening. If something feels different, pay attention. If you suddenly feel less attached to the past, honor it. If a small opportunity appears, investigate it. If someone unexpected reaches out, observe their intentions. And if you feel a new desire growing inside you, don't silence it. The eclipse may have closed one chapter. But that doesn't mean the story is over. It means the next chapter is finally becoming visible. There is a hidden door opening, and you may not hear it, you may not see it immediately, but somewhere beneath the surface, your path is moving. So take a deep breath and repeat this. I release what is no longer aligned with me. I trust the path unfolding before me. I recognize new opportunities without fear. I do not chase what is not meant for me. I am ready to walk through the door that opens for my highest good. Aries, your next chapter doesn't need to arrive with fireworks. Sometimes the greatest changes begin quietly, and August 13th may be the first day you finally notice the door. If this message found you at exactly the right moment, comment "The door is open" below, and subscribe, because the energy that begins quietly today may become much clearer in the days ahead. Your story is not ending, Aries. It's opening.